Thank you, Patrick. It is great to be here. We're a emergency tech startup. Our roots are out of MIT, which means most days I hang out with 37 computer nerds. So it's awesome to talk to people that don't talk in code language that I don't quite understand. What I want to talk about today was how we can make the extraordinary work that we heard earlier today, this next generation reality, we can fill it up with data and make that really useful, and how we can help every peace app get to that stage even ahead of full deployment of all the ecosystem. So just to start, I thought I would just kind of give us kind of a quick snapshot, right? Like this, many of you have been to Fairfax County's peace app, right? It's extraordinary, the technology that sits in these centers, the dedication of the public safety telecommunicators. And yet, despite all that technology, when your call comes in today in most parts of the country, this is what it's looking like, right? This is your standard alley display, 512 characters. Let me just put that in perspective for you. If you can go back one slide. This was the first transatlantic telegram that was sent in 1858. That was 619 characters. So today, as you manage over 500,000 calls a day, you get less data than in 1858 in the transatlantic telegram for most of you. And for me and someone who grew up in the data age, it blows my mind the work the 911 telecommunicators do and how well this system works in light of that. But it shows how much opportunity there is ahead of us, and we've seen that, right? That's why we're here today, and I'm super excited. I went to school and spent a lot of time in Minnesota, so seeing Senator Klobuchar talk about this is very exciting. So obviously, former Chairman Tom Wheeler, the current commission, is talking a lot about the potentials of next generation 911. Of course, there are challenges. I mean, these are complex, sophisticated systems that we need to stand up, and we really applaud the work that Maine, that other parts of the country have done to really get this whole ecosystem online today. So I sometimes joke, we are the slowest tech startup in history. Thank God we have patient investors. But what we've spent the last 4 years is like, we knew this was coming. How can we fill it up with data? Because even as we talked about where these EZNets are up today, you're still getting kind of more of that legacy data flowing through it. So how can we get better location for all of your wireless calls? How can we capture real-time health, medical information, IoT information, all that coming through? So we spent 4 years, we worked with, actually it was over 3,000 public safety officials, hundreds of agencies across the United States, 36 of the largest nonprofits across the country, the biggest tech companies in Silicon Valley, to say how can we converge all of that? And I see a lot of friendly faces here of people that I sat with you and got my butt kicked a little bit along the way, learning that it wasn't going to be easy to do this. But I think what's really exciting that we can talk about today is how this entire industry has come together to make that happen. So we'll talk about 9 of the largest 911 software vendors that have all partnered to do that. There's another half dozen or so in the works. And so how this converges into what we call the next generation 911 clearinghouse. So what this is an ability for you to basically, in a standards-based approach, to realize all the benefits of next generation 911. So we basically host a ADR, a list for those of you that are familiar, but we can plug it not only into your EZNet, but we can actually plug it directly in to your CPE CAD and working with Motorola actually into your first responder devices potentially. So we can realize that full end-to-end convergence of data, and we can help you realize those benefits even if you don't have a fully deployed EZNet today. A variety of benefits here. So we don't charge for this data. It's location. So location itself, really interesting. So you'll be starting to see coming soon a variety of kind of videos of this out. In fact, there's a couple that we've already released of native integration where you just dial 911 and your precise location is transmitted. So this is 85% of calls under 50 meters, median accuracies of 16 meters, equal confidence indoor and outdoor. And the great thing is we don't think of ourselves as a location technology provider. So as a variety of the vendors here are talking about all the new things we're doing, talking about Bluetooth beacons and other pieces of technology, those all converge into our system. And we are the ability to, as those systems get better and better, bring that to you. So as Apple buys coherent navigation, as they make more and more acquisitions on the commercial side to make that location technology better, we get that location to you all. So this is going to be available to all of your citizens, no app required, just dial 911. And if you just have the right CPE partner, the right CAD partner, you can realize those benefits. So key is obviously filling that up. So that's what we've been out busy doing over the last 4 years. While we've been learning public safety, we've been talking to all these technology companies. So today we have 46 signed partnerships on that space. So there are millions of devices now on this side, on the left side here, that are ready to feed data into your systems. And you can choose what data you want to receive. So many of you I know will be waiting on kind of different elements of that, but we can always give you very accurate location. And if you choose to, we can start to give you real-time health and medical information. So I have a wearable over at our table that will track real-time heart rate, blood pressure. We're working on SpO2 glucose monitoring. So all this convergence of health information, and again, working with partners like Motorola, we can actually get that into the ambulance as it arrives potentially, is how we're thinking about this full holistic convergence. On the right side, we basically have stood up secure tunnels into various system integrator systems. So we are in pilot stages of deployments with a variety of EZNets across the country. So as thought leaders and states are starting to deploy that, we will be a first mover in filling your pipes up with data. And if you are a PSAP that's still kind of exploring that and putting that together, if you want to try out the benefits and you're partnered with one of these companies, or it will be, I think, the entire industry, is you can now start to realize that data flowing into your system. And what's great is that there's now actually a display for it. So you can choose, as the PSAP supervisor, I want the medical module, I want demographic information. So an ability to actually choose all this data as it comes in. So the results obviously can be quite powerful. So faster response, knowing exactly where those callers are, doing it, moving beyond a world of 512 characters, and ultimately transforming outcomes. I mentioned that we've worked with 3 dozen nonprofits on this, and I've just been blown away by some of the challenges that people in their communities sometimes face with making a traditional phone call. So there's a number of ways that I think we can really make a difference in partnership here. So there's a variety of different ways this is implemented. I'll show 2 quick videos of it. Here's on the top here, this is just a quick screenshot. We showed this at APCO last year inside a demonstration with Airbus Vesta. So on the top right, you'll see carrier-provided location, and then inside of that, a smaller dot of device hybrid location. And again, the great news is as the carriers start to incorporate all this technology into theirs, those 2 circles will converge. But until that occurs, you can realize that benefit today for your citizens. And then secondly, if you choose to have this additional data, it is available. And again, remember, this is the alley, right? This is what you had previously, and this is what is obviously now possible. So if we can just show the quick 2 videos. And so what I'm going to show you first is what Dan actually started to show. This is inside Emergency Call Works. So we've been out working on this back and forth. We've been talking to over a dozen PSAPs about how best to operationalize this data flow. And so you'll see here, in a second,
The following is from a live demonstration of Metropolitan Beacon System.
So we have the video at our booth. So what you'll see is a live 911 call being made. There's no app on that particular phone. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Maybe. So this is a demo we did. Actually, this call was made, I think, in one of NCT COG's PSAPs, actually. But here's data coming into Motorola Emergency Call Works. So there's all sorts of things we can do with this window and this tab for additional data for you. This is just a very quick prototype. And again, here's carrier location, device hybrid location in that example. Similarly, on Airbus's platform, carrier location pops, device hybrid location, and a tiny circle inside of that. And then if we scroll over, you'll see kind of that additional data window popping up. In this case, this PSAP did choose to have kind of that full multimedia coming on. So now they are getting video feed. I know that we're going to make some decisions on that, but that is an option if you choose to. So Thanks for letting me be back. It's always awesome to be here. I'm over here around for the rest of the day, and we'll be wandering around, so thank you.